On the right hand side, I also want to show you some of the most common vocabulary mistakes. This is another mistake that is specific maybe to Romanian learners, and it has to do with the word. So let's check this out. So we have two very similar words, similar in spelling, but quite different in meaning. Romanian learners are very used to this word, sensitive, and they kind of struggle with remembering and using this first one, sensible. Well, I think it's quite obvious for everybody what sensitive is. Basically, you're an emotional person, maybe someone who cries easily or is easily offended. But a sensible person is someone who is quite wise, quite smart, and who takes good decisions in any kind of situation. Having a good night's sleep is a sensible idea before an exam, so it's wise to have a good night's sleep and not to watch TV series till 3 in the morning before an exam, right? So again, try not to confuse these words. Remember that they're different, especially in meaning, and try to integrate the word sensible in your vocabulary. It's quite a high-level word, and it's quite uncommon, so it's good for you to know it, right? And my final vocabulary example has to do with a pretty funny one. So when correcting any kind of text compositions, I deal with this mistake a lot. The word boring in Romanian has a single form, and we can use it in any kind of situation to talk about how you feel, how other people feel. But in English, we have two alternatives for this word. The first one is boring, I have here, which is used incorrect. Boring is something from the external environment that makes you feel bored. So if I watch a movie, in my case a romantic movie, I will probably get bored. The movie, the external factor, is boring to me. But here we talk about how I feel. So in this case, the correct form of the adjective would be bored. I was bored at school, so I drew some pictures. Well, I was bored at school. Why? Because the math teacher was boring. In this case, the math teacher is an external factor, so he or she is boring to me, so I feel bored. So there's a huge difference between an internal factor, like I feel bored, it's an internal feeling, emotion, versus an external factor that makes me feel bored. A movie could be boring, an activity could be boring, like walking in a forest. For some people it's boring. A story could be boring, and so on. So keep this in mind, the internal versus the external factor when it comes to this. Again, they are very, very common mistakes when it comes to Romanian learners of English. Try to internalize these mistakes and try to avoid them at all costs. That was it for today. Hope you found it useful, and see you soon.